It's not patriotism, it is racism. Pure racism, hijacked by bottom feeders like Tommy Robinson and the clowns parading around with those flags. You're not patriots, you're jumped up thugs. Thick, useless pigs who grew up eating chicken nuggets for dinner every night, panda pops for breakfast, and now think a flag makes you some kind of warrior.
It makes no sense. Everywhere in the world, people are allowed to be proud of where they're from. I've been to so many different countries, and every country is allowed to have their flag up and be proud of where they're from. England's the only country in the world that if you're proud to be English, you're automatically racist.
The lefties, can you believe it, are losing it over a flag, over the Union Jack, over the St. George's Cross. I mean, it's to quite nutty proportions now, or as JD Vance describes it, crazies proportions. Look at this. Lefty York MP Rachel Maskell, she's one of the worst, demanding the local Labour Council start taking down England flags because they, quote, threaten the breakdown of society. And then you have women like this, liberal left-wing women like this, who I think are being totally vulgar about people who are simply patriots because they have no idea about what it's really like out in tough parts of the country. Watch.
I am so tired of seeing England flags everywhere now. It's not patriotism, it is racism. Pure racism, hijacked by bottom feeders like Tommy Robinson and the clowns parading around with those flags. You're not patriots, you're jumped up thugs. Thick, useless pigs who grew up eating chicken nuggets for dinner every night, panda pops for breakfast, and now think a flag makes you some kind of warrior. It doesn't. You are embarrassing. You are nothing but brain-dead hooligans fueling hate because you've got nothing better going for you. And while you're busy chanting and pretending that you stand for England, children, actual children, are being zipped into body bags in Palestine. Parents are holding their dead babies. That's a reality, and I'm sick of it. Sick to my stomach, sick of watching kids being slaughtered while pathetic, flag-waving thugs strut around pretending they matter. You don't, you are filth. And honestly, if you have paid £28 to be taught how to be racist, you need to seriously reconsider what brain cells you have left.
Oh, I'm going to get started on her in a moment. But it wasn't just her. John McTernan, the ex-Tony Blair advisor, said something quite similar on Newsnight.
Flag.
Well, when I see it used at the moment across the country, it's being used to other people. It's being used to racialise political discourse, and I'm deeply uncomfortable with that, where people are trying to divide the country using the George's Cross.
The stated aim, though, of a lot of these groups is patriotism. It's national pride. It's not bigotry.
It's clearly not national pride. It's clearly a form of othering, saying that this flag represents something that other people don't belong to. It's done, it disturbs people. I can understand why it disturbs people.
Oh my God, my blood pressure, my rage. It's about to bubble over. But then I think, thank God, actually, there are sane people like this mixed race bloke. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address and sign up today.
Oh, why am I seeing bare people kicking off about English flags being in England? I fully don't get it. Like, where else in the world should these English flags be if not England? The worst thing is, it's a lot of English people that are complaining about the flags. They're fully seeing their own country flags, and instead of being proud of where they're from and their country, they're actually getting triggered by their own country flag. It makes no sense. Everywhere in the world, people are allowed to be proud of where they're from. I've been to so many different countries, and every country is allowed to have their flag up and be proud of where they're from. England's the only country in the world that if you're proud to be English, you're automatically racist.
So true. So true. And I also thought this protest organiser in Braintree yesterday, draped in the Union Jack, made a very good point on this too.
It's a massive reason for why I'm here. I've got 2 children. They are boys. I want them to be able to realise that in this life they need to stand up for what's important to them. They need to defend their country. I also, as a woman, feel that women and young girls are at risk, and it's really important that us women use our voices. In this country, women do have free speech, and they should be using it. They shouldn't be fearful of being tarred with a brush of racism, or that they're over-exaggerating, because ultimately women understand that threat from another male. They know that what it is to be frightened, and they should be listened to.
And perhaps JD Vance put it best when asked about this on Fox News.
Have you seen the story out of England where the English flag has simultaneously become controversial and patriotic? Some in that country see it as a sign of protest, others see it as a sign of patriotism. And it's a little reflected in what's happening here in America.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Will. Again, so much of what happens in Europe happens in America and vice versa. Sometimes we're on the leading edge of a trend, sometimes they're on the leading edge of a trend. But I remember back in the crazy BLM summer of 2020, I had a buddy of mine say, I was going to put the American flag out today, but I'm worried that some BLM person is going to ransack my house or come and vandalize it in some way because they see the American flag somehow as this controversial symbol. It's not a controversial symbol. Nothing should be less controversial than the American flag. It's the one thing that, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, should unite us all together. We should all love our country, be proud of our country. So again, some of these trends where you have Americans worried about flying the American flag because they think their house is going to get vandalized. First of all, that's crazy. Second of all, you see the same things happening in Europe, and I think we just have to be on guard against this stuff. It's okay to be proud of your country. It's in fact a good thing to be proud of your country, and we should push back against the crazies who say we should be so ashamed of our culture and of our heritage that we shouldn't be willing to fly a flag. It's craziness. We got to call that craziness out. I'd encourage our European friends to follow.
Yes, JD, and alongside Emma Kenny on the Superstar panel today is the man who is behind Flag Force UK, this campaign to raise the colours. And Joseph Moulton, I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that mad woman, clearly a crazy, right at the start, because, I've got to know you a little bit. To me, you don't appear like a jumped up thug. You don't appear like a brain dead hooligan. You don't appear like filth. I presume you didn't eat chicken nuggets and paddle pops today, although if you did, by the way, I'd be very jealous. But what did you make of her absolute degradation of the people behind your campaign as racist thugs? But first, something really important to talk to you about: scammers and spammers who are out there to ruin your life. We've all experienced more and more of those spam emails, text messages, and robo phone calls. Not only are they annoying and time-consuming to deal with, but they usually represent a gross invasion of your private information that can actually cause vast financial and reputational damage. Like, how the heck did they get your information in the first place? Well, it's likely as a result of data brokers who know everything about you, your health information, relationship status, mortgage details, and so much more, and then sell it for a profit. These data brokers can directly or indirectly expose sensitive information to bad actors, putting you at risk of identity theft. The number of data breaches worldwide rises every year. According to the annual data breach report by the Identity Theft Resource Center, it went up by 72% in 2023 compared to the previous year. This means you and your loved ones are also at constantly increasing risk of data breaches, as a growing list of data brokers hold your personal information, which is then being sold or published online without you even knowing about it. The consequences can be shocking. Health insurance companies could actually raise your rates based on your online activity. Huge loans have been taken out under people's names without them even knowing about it. Do you know scammers, this is shocking, have even started to use AI to mimic the voices of friends and family to trick victims into sending them money. These imposter scams rely entirely on the voice data they can find online. Now, while you can ask these data brokers to delete your personal information, the process takes hundreds of hours to do manually and requires repetition. So the good news is that today I have a solution for you that I use and personally endorse. Go to incogni.com/outspoken and get 60% off an annual plan. Incogni reaches out to data brokers on your behalf, requests your personal data removal, and handles any objections from their side. And the whole process is automated, ensuring that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals and taking down your data if it pops up again. This is what makes the annual subscription really advantageous. I do that plan, and it means I'm just constantly being taken off these lists. It's a simple process to you. Simply create an account, grant Incogni the right to work for you, and they will contact the data brokers on your behalf to request your personal data removal. So go to Incogni, that's incogni.com/outspoken, and you will get 60% off the annual plan right now. It could be the most important decision you make. But now, back to the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a trend I've seen in UK politics for years now. You know, you just want to dismiss anyone who expresses any sort of view, you know, which perhaps might be patriotic or one which challenges the status quo, to be someone who's a far-right thug or some sort of gammon. Which actually is, I mean, it's a slur against the working class. Against, you know, there's a lot of people who are very angry in the UK and aren't necessarily able to articulate themselves in the best way. And, you know, that people can sort of rage bait them and get these clips. Then they want to tar everyone with the same brush. And what this kind of campaign has really done, we're out, you know, during broad daylight putting up flags. We don't put up any flags at night. We're there for people to come and speak to us. You know, we invite our detractors to speak to us too, and sort of have that time to really see what we're about. And we've had some really good conversations. And it's subverted a lot of expectations that people have had. But alas, they don't want to have a proper debate. We do have people come up who've, you know, I've been nice as pie with them, and they've just been kind of like physically shaking, screaming, "I hate you," all sorts of obscenities.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, like really, really sort of bizarre. I've said to everyone, you know, there's going to be people who, you know, it really is a minority. I said I've probably only had about 15 people actually come up and have a have a go really in York, which is actually a Labour constituency in both inner and outer. So, you know, there's clearly been a political shift. There's been a massive mind shift across the nation. But the people who do come up and sort of are detractors, they're not interested in any sort of dialogue. They just kind of hurl slurs at us. We've maybe only had a couple of people who've actually been willing to have a dialogue, and we have actually changed some minds. So there is a bit of a divide in society, and I think that through kind of raising the flag and being out on the streets and being seen and being heard, we're kind of sort of rebuilding those community ties, but also kind of creating that dialogue which hasn't been there. You know, we obviously kind of have our own sort of echo chambers as well, and we can be guilty of it too. I don't think it's entirely just on one side, but you know, this is a real opportunity to be in the street, speak to your neighbours, and really sort of understand where they're coming from if they perhaps don't understand your position, and start to have constructive conversations about the future of the country.
But Emma Kenny, where does that hatred on the left come from? I mean, that woman in the first video, right? To me, she looked like a privileged middle-class woman who probably, I mean, that is me making an assumption, but she probably doesn't have that much of an idea about how difficult it is for a lot of people. But like, she is presumably, Emma, one of those people on the be kind left who sees absolutely no irony or no hypocrisy in just throwing out insult after insult after insult to people who are literally wanting to raise the flag. Where does that come from on the left?
I mean, it was pretty stunning listening to what she was saying, because she was going on about the fact that, you know, nobody in the UK has got any compassion whatsoever because they're eating chicken nuggets and they're actually caring about what's going on in their neighbourhoods to young women who might be being affected in those neighbourhoods, and that unless you care about Palestine right now and children dying there, you're a bottom feeder who doesn't deserve being listened to in any way, shape or form. Also, where was she in all the other conflicts where horrific things have been going on in death camps around the world? Was she talking about Muslims who are in camps in China, for example? No, she wasn't, because actually she's doing something that's populist at the moment, as opposed to thinking about what's really going on. How dare she respond in that way about individuals who may not have had the education, may not have been given the privilege of her nice car and her nice sunglasses because they weren't born in situations like that. She just absolutely throws out everybody in this way, being stereotypical, highly abusive towards a class that she probably has never associated with, without understanding that the motivations aren't coming from hatred. They're coming from fear. They're coming from an understanding that our society is changing drastically and in a scary way in lots of ways, shapes and forms. And actually, she has no care or compassion about anybody who doesn't fit her mindset. Well, that isn't how you reach people. It's not how you connect with people. It's not how you change people's minds. It's not how you create empathy. If you want true connection, if you want true compassion, you know where it starts? In your own mindset, in your own heart, sweetheart. And she clearly is lacking on every single level and doesn't see the irony. And you know what? The biggest irony here is she's assuming that everybody on the streets is right wing, far right. Well, that's not true on any level at all. In fact, if you saw in the videos, you see people coming from every different culture, every different ethnicity, and every different belief system. But now you have a common feature. The common feature is you want the UK to feel safe, you want to feel your taxes being spent appropriately, and you want to believe that somewhere in all of this, we'll find a solution where we can harmonise and live together. And part of that is going to be taking on a value system that we can all share.
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, just to show you, Joseph, how terrible some of these actors are, very bad actors. I mean, this is Your Flag Force UK organisation on X, which I obviously recommend everyone follow. But you've posted the littering left tore down national flags in the dead of night as they're too ashamed to be seen. They left only a burnt out mess in Tang Hall Estate, not just anti-patriotic, but anti-environmental and causing a public hazard too. They have no moral authority. So there is now on the left in the United Kingdom, people actively now doing the opposite of raising the colours, literally burning the colours.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's been interesting, so from the footage we've seen, and we've managed to get a lot of CCTV footage, I've seen the cars that these people are coming in. Generally 25 plate, 24 plate cars. They're clearly from the upper middle class. They're from the sort of dungaree and lanyard class, likely university lecturers. If I'm going to look
Always.
kind of
Always.
attractive on Facebook. York's in an interesting spot right now where most of the students haven't come back yet. It'll be interesting to see what the response there is. But I've spoke to a fair few sympathetic lecturers too. And, I think it's actually more that kind of boomer generation, Gen X, rather than the younger generation who are kind of going out and skulking around at night and taking them down.
Well, look, I think it is an absolutely amazing campaign. Thank you so much for launching it. Personally, I think it is patriotic, and what has happened with Raising the Colours, I think not only is allowing us to tap into our need to have pride in the St. George's flag and Union Jack, but it's also exposing the underbelly of hate in our country amongst the left, because no one should be threatened or afraid of the Union Jack or the St. George's flag. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.